I'm Gregory's daughter, Cecilia, his youngest of 5. We were so lucky to have him as a dad, and I got to work with him twice. I played his daughter in a film called The Portrait, and I produced a documentary on him called A Conversation with Gregory Peck, both made for TCM. I'm excited about today's selection of his films, especially seeing such a variety of his performances. My dad was often cast in roles where he could bring his innate decency and integrity to his parts, and that certainly was in him, but he always brought a lot of complexity and moral dilemma to those roles. They weren't one-dimensional. He used to say that it was much easier to play the bad guys than the good guys. He said the bad guys were more fun. It was easier to make them colorful. It was harder to bring complexity to those heroic parts and make them interesting, which is what he did so well. One thing he seemed to do a lot was choose films that addressed social issues ahead of their times. For instance, The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit. That character is dealing with what we now know of as PTSD from his wartime experiences long before that medical diagnosis had a name. I think it was called battle fatigue then, but his character, that wartime trauma, comes back to haunt his marriage and his career. And yeah, you see the toll it's taking on him. My father made a lot of films that had a message of choosing conflict resolution over violence. In The Big Country, he and Charlton Heston are great on-screen rivals. And by the way, those two were lifelong friends who respected and admired each other in spite of having different worldviews. I think they set a great example for all of us. Let's see what else is on the lineup. Oh, well, The Omen was an unlikely choice for my dad, but those very believable performances by him and Lee Remick, along with Dick Donner's incredibly taut, intense direction, made it one of the scariest films of all times, a horror film classic. What else? The Seawolves he chose because he wanted to be reunited with his beloved friend from the Guns of Navarone, David Niven, and also to work with his dear pal, Roger Moore. I think even in the parts that weren't my dad's biggest box office hits, he always brought something interesting and unexpected and funny or touching and often very inspiring to his performances. If you'd like to comment on any of them, please visit gregorypeck.com, and I hope you enjoy today's lineup.